3,
Where
2,
is everybody?
1. Oh, they'll be here, man. Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of ArmTalk / Can-Am Connection. I'm your co-host with Ryan Espy, and today we got none other than the East versus West superstar and Mr. Doug Ehrlich. Doug, how are we doing this morning?
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. Or I should say it's afternoon where you're at. But
yeah.
Before we touch base with the East versus West, did anybody catch the Artem versus Todzilla match over the weekend? And what were your thoughts?
I saw the highlights.
Same.
Now it looked to me like Artem has leveled up quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, Artem's tricky. He's awkward to set up with, and he's just building more power to go with that. So I mean, as long as he keeps building power and getting stronger, which it's obviously he's doing, he's going to be really hard to deal with.
I agree. All right, here we go. I see the chat now. Now,
oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Because I'm not hosting, I don't see the right screen, but here we are.
Yes. Doug, let me ask you a question, because what you just said about Artem leveling up, and he's real tricky, and he can be a pain for everybody. When are we going to see Artem in a match at East versus West?
I'm surprised he hadn't pulled one yet, but he's been helping over there quite a bit, and he's definitely not short on matches. I mean, he's pulls every other weekend, it seems, but I think he's going to the finals. So
yeah.
I mean, I right now got him favored to win that 200-pound class for sure. I don't know exactly everyone that's in it, but by the names I saw, he's got to be, the favorite or next to favorite. I mean, do you have a list?
I got it right here. So, are we talking left or right hand?
Both.
So, the list of left-handers, we got Ole Missouri, Herman Jansen, Stephen Logsdon, Daniel Reyes, Joel Hudick, Matthew Schultz, Noel Nunez, Dustin Dewitty, of course, Artem, Brian Fry, Troy Eaton, Caleb Ricks, Austin Wade, Eli Sadoff, John Terrian. Those are your left-hand guys in that 200 class.
I think he wins left easy.
Oh, I would say Artem left-handed, no problem. Right-handed though. Right-handed though.
I think Mosier's in the right-handed, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh, that throws a monkey wrench into things.
Because then you got Alex Marcides, you got Ali Hamadea. So you got some wrinkles in there. So there's not an easy runaway with the right-hand 200-pound class.
Who's another besides like Mosier, or is there?
It's basically the same guys.
Okay, so I got them two towards the end. I think Artem from that match a couple years ago where he got a win on Mosier. Mosier kind of got in his feelings for a minute and then deleted the post. But I think he knows how to pull Mosier. So and Mosier's apparently, from what he said at the Monster Factory, his wrist isn't 100% yet. So I can't imagine. And there's somebody pops up with the comment I just made. But I think, and that's exactly what Artem attacks, is your hand and wrist. So I got Artem the favorite both hands, honestly. And
you guys are sleeping on one guy.
Who's that?
Sleeping on one guy. Troy Eaton is one of the most underrated right-handed arm wrestlers in North America.
Yeah, I don't know him, so I can't. I cannot. Is he Canadian?
He is Canadian, and he's been gone for a few years, but he came back last year, won the Nationals, won the IFA Worlds, and now he's going to the East versus West finals. He's one of the original training partners of Devin Larratt back in the early days, and making a big comeback. Used to be one of the most dominant right-handed arm wrestlers in that weight class in Canada.
Nice. I don't know him very well at all. I know I've heard the name. I actually may even be friends with him on Facebook or something, but I mean, so he beat John Terrian to get to the finals then?
I'm not sure. He may have.
I know John didn't win right-handed. I know he won left-handed. So I think there's like I don't even know if he's in the finals right-handed or not. I think
So he took.
Yeah, is he in it right-handed too?
Yes.
Okay, so I think he got second to the Eaton guy then, because I know he didn't win. He got second and won one.
Yeah, if somebody beat him, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Troy.
Yeah, I mean, he's tough then, because John's no pushover for sure.
But I mean, is he tough to the level of, the guys that have been away for a while come back and they're still tough, but can they keep up with what the developments guys have made over the past 5-10 years?
Oh, it's crazy, man. Like even just the little bit of time that I was out for like 4 years, since 2019. And then over the last 4 or 5 years, the social media boom with arm wrestling and how many people are involved. There's a lot of people that didn't even know who I was, but I was at the top 3 to 5 of my class pretty much the whole time I was in the sport. And there's so many new people now. It's blown up so much, and there's so much more talent now. The depth from top to bottom, it's crazy. Like there's so much depth now compared to 5-10 years ago. It's unreal.
And it's so easy to forget about people too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things you got to realize too with those names in that 200-pound class, it all depends on where they stack up in the brackets. Who's at the top portion of the bracket? Who's at the bottom? A lot plays into that. So, and we don't know until we actually get there. So that's going to be interesting to see in each class.
Is Sam Harris in that 170-pound one?
Oh, let's take a look.
Because I was looking at like all the people that are making comebacks, just watching. Wait till Kenny Smith comes back. He's going to shake shit up big time. That dude's a fucking monster. And then you got Sam Harris coming back. Paul Talbot is actively pulling. I mean, there's some big names coming back.
But here's the thing. So I'm glad you brought that up because I don't see Sam Harris's name in the 170 class. But let's not forget they got the last chance. And maybe that's where you'll see those guys like Paul Talbot, Sam Harris get in there. What do you think?
Can you hear that in the background?
Yeah.
I might have to peek and make sure one of my kids didn't cut their hand off.
No, I don't. I mean, go ahead and do that, man. The show will still be on. We don't do second takes. We rolling with it.
One of them might have like lost a finger.
That's okay. Make sure.
So a lot might depend on the bracket system. And then, you got the last chance where you're kind of going, wait a minute,
What is the deal with that?
From what I heard, because it's also going to be some big extravaganza seminar, with Devin's going to be there, Gabby's going to be there, Mask, Brazink, that kind of stuff. I think it's here's my thing. We had 6 qualifiers, right? We had the 4 in the States. We had the 2 in Canada. And I guess if you want to throw in Mexico or whatever, I guess you get 7. But it's like going, at all those qualifiers, you mean to tell me you still had to have the last chance? And it says to me, and I'll ask Doug when he gets back on there, it sounds like they're trying to get a certain somebody saying, hey, we need you. So, Doug, since you're back, Ryan asked a good question. Where do you think the purpose is of this last chance qualifier?
To get some of the bigger names in, like some of the guys that, either took for granted the fact that they may just get an invite or they couldn't get in, make it to a qualifier. And we're just missing some guys that can really compete over there. So, man, people don't realize the level that steps on that stage. And we want to bring our best. So the last chance qualifier is kind of a last ditch effort by some of the promoters and some of the other arm wrestlers that have been reaching out to some of these guys,
right,
that we think can compete over there and push them to get in this last chance qualifier so we can have a really good representation. Because I was worried about the qualifiers to begin with, because I was like, man, especially in the lightweight class, who's going to show up? And if no one shows up and you got some random guy, and I'm not trying to insult the guy, but like a Greg Gray go win the 170, and then he goes over there and gets absolutely drugged.
Right.
You know, it's just not a good representation. We want to send our best over there right now. Our last showing, we obviously didn't win one, so that wasn't the best showing for us. We made history. I was part of the sweep, and it sucked.
I guess I'm kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but isn't the last chance qualifier taking away from the fact that, you know, it's giving an opportunity for some lesser known guys? Because shouldn't there just be an invite if there's somebody that you're trying to like get to the qualifier? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, let's say, for example, I qualified. Now, if I was planning to go, I look at the field of competitors and I think to myself, well, I got a good shot at winning this. And then I show up and all of a sudden there's somebody completely unexpected that's just in my class because they showed up on the day of the event.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, now there, and to be honest with you, you might have this last chance qualifier and two people show up for 170 and some random guy gets in and then shakes up the whole class because it gives somebody a cakewalk in the first round and then somebody else has a war. That's my thing about tournaments to begin with. Tournaments are tough just because the structure, like who's on your side of the bracket.
Yeah.
You might have to run the gauntlet to get to the finals. And the way they're doing this one is interesting because so it's like two brackets and then the final four or something is best of three.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old WAL tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. But, you know, I got asked the question too, what do you guys think of this? And I don't want to shit on anything. I don't want to put anything negative out there, but if we're trying to send our best, you could make the case that we've done that already.
No, you're right. You're right. And honestly, I feel like there's, besides maybe a slight edge in a couple people, even if you send some new guys that are at the same level, you're still sending the same level, right? So
right.
Look, I talked about this on Travis Bajan Unfiltered the other day, and it is the East versus West thing is a great idea. It's the best thing going, the best thing I think have ever come to arm wrestling. But it's the United States or North America, Canada, Brazil, really, it's just those three is all we're saying, versus the world, the best guy from every country. Now, yeah, Georgia may be the size of West Virginia, but add up how many world champions they have, how many dedicated arm wrestlers they have, how many teams they have, how many elite arm wrestlers they have versus here. The population, everybody throws the population thing out there, but you can't do that because the percentage, you go by percentages, like the ratio of how many arm wrestlers there are in Georgia to the population, I guarantee you is just as much here. Like
Right.
There's not, I don't know how many millions of people we have in the U.S. versus how many arm wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's such a slight percentage. It's a small population over here.
It's the program. It's not if you grew up, and maybe you did, but I certainly didn't, started arm wrestling in school, in kindergarten, or at 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would have an advantage. If you come through the ranks of the WAF championships where you're competing in the youth classes, you're going to have an advantage. Think about how many greats have come through at such a young age and arm wrestling has been their primary focus since they were a child. It's I don't think it has anything to do with they don't have to work. They don't have to do
most
this.
of those guys, that's most of that's a myth. There's a handful of guys in those countries that are not working and they're arm wrestling full time. Most of them still have jobs.
Yeah.
But they also have a different culture and a different type of way of life too that allows them to train more. They have like you said, their programs, the teams, the dedicated arm wrestling gyms. I mean, they got gyms you walk into and it's just arm wrestling equipment, So like it in the elite level of world champions that they all have all on one team, it's going to be tough to compete against the whole world. Competing against one country, I feel like we can compete at just about any country. I mean, you got Kazakhstan and Georgia, which are kind of leading the charge. And Russia's right there, but that they haven't been mixed into East versus West that much, just started last East versus West. But we're right there with just about every country, honestly. You put our best guy out there, and the guy, let's say we go against Poland.
Right.
How many Polish arm wrestlers have been over there that are, well, you got Kardeccia, you got those Barchowitz brothers, David and Piotr, and I don't even know where they are. They're not even doing it anymore. But us against them, we win that. Us against, I think we could beat Ukraine. I don't know what super heavyweight we're going to have that's going to beat any of our top super heavyweights.
I don't think so. Not since the late, great Andrei Pushkar.
Exactly. Pushkar. So I feel like head-to-head versus countries, yeah. But when you start plucking the best guy from every country, it's tough. And in the lighter weight classes, man, there's just it is a different level over there. It is a different fucking level.
Jay Clean just said the weight classes in the lightweight is going to end up being East versus East. But here's the point I want to make. I don't want to get Doug's response, Ryan's response, everybody in the chat. I want your response too. When we have these East versus West or Team USA versus the whole world, the reason why I'm excited more now than before is the fact that before, in the last 5 to 8 years, we had to send our veterans. We had to send the Brzezinks, the Michael Todds, the Todd Hutchings, Lupkes, of the world, Devin Larratt's over and over against the young guys, right? But now we have the young guys. I think it's starting to slowly turn in our favor, and I say why? Because those young guys against our older guys is kind of like, but now we can compete because now we have the Dougs, Warzinskis, Paul Lynn's, El Cesar's, Chance Shaw of the world.
I'm getting in the old head group, man. I'm almost 40.
Well, I mean, still though, man, those names though, we don't have to always go back and say, okay, we'll get Michael Todd, or go back and get Devin Larratt or John, or Barbosa. We need some of those young guns, and so now that we have those, the RVJs of the world, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we can do this. Sprinkle in Paul Talbot, sprinkle in, Brent Rakers. I mean, Corey Miller been there one time, didn't win.
Oh my God, Jody, I feel like you don't know how old these guys are.
So I mean, I know Corey Miller's around our age, but do you see what I'm saying though? You add those guys in there, we can go toe to toe with them. And I think with this East versus West, finale coming up this Saturday in Virginia, by the way, which someone said that, I think Travis said Dave Patton's going to be there. But when you have that kind of, that structure, think, okay, now we got to get somebody to where, okay, hey, help us be a part of Team West so we can go there and go toe to toe. What do y'all think about that?
I feel like I'm going to be honest with you, man. In my match, it went inside every time. I never should have agreed to go to the straps. Outside the straps, I felt fine in match 2 when I told him no. But what I felt does not feel out of reach. I've been back for 4 months, and there's other guys over here that are at that level that if they would dedicate themselves, which I've rededicated myself. So I'm gonna give my best, but I won't sacrifice my time with my kids and stuff like that. That is just not something that I can do. Now, I will say this about something about East versus West and something about those other countries. Some of those other countries where sacrificing a lot of your time, maybe even with your family or something, to go win $5,000 is massive. That could get them through 6 months in a lot of those countries. Yeah. $5,000 US dollars compared to what some of their dollar is. That'd be like me coming over here and winning 25, 30 grand. Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice some time if I can go make life-changing money for my family. Yeah. Right. That does play a factor. And, so it's tough, but I do, as crazy as it sounds, because he made round 1 and 3 look easy. I don't feel like he's out of reach. And there's guys over here. Justin Bishop's back training hard. And that dude, when he's on top of his game, he can compete with anybody in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with you, Doug. And you know what? Sometimes what people don't understand is a 5-pound difference in a certain pressure in a certain area that you can't hold will make it look like a dominant win. And only the guy on the other side of that table knows how close they are. So I'll take your word for it if you feel like it's attainable, because I've been in matches where it looked, like I got my ass kicked, but I know that I'm on the cusp of being in the match.
Yeah, it may look lopsided. There's everyone's had their ass whooped at some point, but when to the viewer's eye, it may look like, oh, this was just completely gone. And especially with a guy like Daniel, who even if he's struggling, is still going to smile at you because he wants you to think he's not struggling. So that's the weird part about pulling him. But we talked afterwards with a translator, and he was telling me that first match he couldn't just go through me. He was trying to hold me center and tire me out, and then start slowly trying to go sideways. But the whole time he has a smile on his face looking at me like he's arm wrestling a child, So he's trying to intimidate you with that during the match. It's just smart. Where he wants you to think he's very comfortable. And a lot of times he is very comfortable. But like I said, he knew and I knew in that first match that it was stuck dead center for at least the first 10, 15 seconds. And I know that that's not unattainable. Now, at that moment, there was no way I was pulling through his elbow. No way. Right. No way. I mean, John Brzezinski himself said there's spots that guy could get in with him that he'd worry. That he's got an elbow. His elbow is like steel. So I attacked him wrong. I'm not going to complain about the reffing. I'm not going to complain about the carving, even though I just mentioned it. I give him all the credit because, to be honest with you, if I could have cheated and got a lot more pronation in the start and had him start with his wrist backwards, I would have done it. I'd have done everything I could to get every advantage in the setup, and he was just smarter than me. So
when are you on the next card? Do you know yet?
I don't know. I've chatted a couple times with him. It's I'm training right now. He's got to get in these East versus West finals, guys. He's got to get them matches. He's got to bring back guys that have not or have won matches and he hasn't had a chance to bring back. He's got to, he's kind of, it seems like he's added the August card because it was supposed to be just July and October. And there's so many matches, and he's still, even with adding a whole nother card in between, there's guys he can't get on cards because there's so many high level guys and matches he wants to put on there. Engen's got like the toughest job.
Okay, so here's my theory, and this is backward. Ryan, you know how I feel about this. And before we get to Ermes versus Jerry's thoughts, remember when WAL had their thing, and it got to a point they got so many pullers that you may pull one time, and then you never heard from again, But the other guys, they keep recirculating guys over and over again. When is enough? And I don't mean that in a bad way, to where it's like, okay, we had these talks before where East versus West number one, we had guys like Herman Stevens, Jonathan Brita, heck, I'll go a step further. Even if they had a master's class at one point for East versus West one, I think Josh Grant won that one. Haven't heard from those guys since as far as that goes. So I'm wondering, when you get too many people, does that actually, what does that do?
I think there's a perfect medium where you can't water it down, but you also can't give everybody the same flavor constantly. And he's doing that by bringing in new guys. But like, for example, super heavyweight class. Yeah, Dave's a good friend of mine, but he's one of the best in the world still. But he's lost 4 matches at East versus West, right? So, but who are you going to bring other than Dave? You're going to bring a lesser guy. And then you're going to have to give that guy a lesser match because you can't put him up against the guys you're putting Dave up against.
What about the guy sitting here in this chat right here named Ryan Espy? What the hell?
I'd love to see him right here. I'd love him to see back over there.
I would love to go over there, but it's almost like the opposite problem. This is the same thing in reverse that we used to complain about with WAL, that we kept seeing the same guys over and over again. But with East versus West, it seems to be, you see a couple of guys over and over again, but you see a ton of new people coming through there all the time.
You are, and it's good because I feel like he's like doing it fairly split. Like he does like 50% of the card is returners, then he's given like 50% some new guys, and now he's mixing in. Look, I said this a couple East versus West ago. When Russia starts coming, then it's going to get even deeper and harder to get on those cards because they're bringing monsters.
Well, if it truly stays an East versus West, those guys might class themselves out of competition in a way, and those will be like East versus East matches for the most part for those top tier, especially like you talk about super heavyweight. Well, if Dennis comes back in full form, you end up with a Voda back on the card. Like it could be.
Yeah, I think you'll see those guys more toward king of the table.
Well,
you've got like one or two guys in every country that have the potential to keep that helmet, to have the helmet,
right?
Including ours. So if you make it East versus West, you're going to see the same West guys every time because they're the only ones that have a chance to get that title. Now, if he wants to start just making interesting matches where we're looking at Arm Wars and WAL stuff, and the way they just wanted to do good stylistic matchups and making sure it's an entertaining match. But I think there's an ultimate goal is to like he wants the best of the best, and he wants the best guy to have the title.
Right.
But he also wants us, and we are, the level has changed here. We are leveling up. Seems like everybody's working a little harder right now over here.
Man, this ebbs and flows all the time. Like if you look at the history of the sport, there were times when John Brzenk was brought overseas. Travis was brought over there because they were kicking everyone's ass. There was a time when North America was dominant, and it's gone back and forth a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, clearly, East has the edge, but it may not stay that way forever. And I'm personally not hung up on the fact that it's East versus West when we see, a few more East versus East type matches in there. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Me neither.
The thing in putting on the best possible matches, like we want to know who's going to win between these two top guys. We don't have to keep them apart and keep finding them someone from the West.
I mean, I feel like, for example, the 75 kg class, I don't know how knowledgeable y'all are in that class, but like you've got Nordelet with the title right now. You've got Alan Zoloev coming, and you've got Daniel Prokopchik, and then like right outside of that top three, you've got like Mindaugas Terasitis.
Yeah.
And so you have, I mean, really the top 4, 5, 6 guys in that class are from the East. And I don't think we have anybody that can compete with that right now. And
no, you're right.
I mean, like let's say with the 170 class at the finals in this weekend, looking at the class, I would choose Dustin Hyatt as the favorite, possibly. Young, fresh elbows, probably wakes up and hops out of bed and can do cartwheels, as it takes me 30 minutes to stand upright. I'm hunched over. But, even if he wins that, he's not going over there and touching any of those top guys. So Engen's going to have to get him a match with somebody comparable. And now that takes out maybe an East guy that's not getting an opportunity because he does have to keep some matches East versus West.
And some of the weird stuff about this is we don't know where some of these guys are at. Like, who was talking about Bacho before the last event?
Apparently this guy's been like heavy training since he's like 12. Like he's been like science experiment. So
yeah, but in the West, we had no idea who that guy was for the most part. And then we see what he did. Like, I don't think any of us picked him to win that match.
He's a freak, though. I don't think there's 15, 20 Bachos out there. No. I think he's kind of like a anomaly of really, but he's been training arm wrestling since he was a preteen.
Right.
Yeah. There it is. There's another one. One of these kids that have come through.
Yeah. I mean, the Georgian team was very high on him. His coach was extremely high on him there, and he showed it. I mean, so I think we could have had a better matchup for him. honestly think Rob beats him that day.
Right.
Oh, really?
I do. I think Rob beats him that
Wow.
day. Stylistically, I really think Rob beats him that day. He's not taking Rob's hand. So
Yeah.
that guy is a very big hand control guy. If you really watch the match, Bacho, his hand is great. I just don't. I'm not going to put him in a win over Rob in a hand contest. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sticking with the East versus West scenario, and we're all been waiting for this match because it's supposed to happen last year. The Jerry Ermes, because when the match officially was about to be taking place, Ermes was ready, Jerry couldn't do it. As we went further, Jerry is ready, Ermes couldn't do it. So now here we are, and now we see Jerry bench pressing like, apartment complexes and stuff for like multiple reps, and he's doing all that kind of stuff. And, ever since that Ermes Levon match where, he made him look somewhat human, and Jerry had to go, well, wait a minute. If he can flop and make, Levon think twice, imagine if Jerry could do that. So now I'm thinking, okay, when everybody's healthy, both parties, what's going to happen? I can't wait. What does everyone think?
Well, if Ermes phones Travis, he'll win the match. If he doesn't, he's going to lose.
Just like that?
Just like that. I know there's a hole. I know there's a path with Jerry Cadorette. I've seen it. You watch the old WAL finals.
Mm-hmm.
There is a path. And I talked to Travis at length about it following my match with Jerry at WAL. And I was like, why didn't I go there? Because that's where I did go when I pulled him at the regionals and had success. So I think that unless he's closed that, but I don't know. I think guys are just going to continue to keep trying to top roll Jerry, and it's not going to work.
Oh, well, that's exactly where this match is going. But
yeah.
Well, I mean, his lane and his lane, I think it's going to be a 3-2, ugly, sweaty. I would not want to be Jerry's corner for this one. You bring a freaking rain suit. Bring a rain suit. I needed one in the last one, dude. I like Jerry. I had more of his sweat on me than my own. But he's a dog, and that dude don't quit. And neither does Ermes. It's going to be an absolute fucking dogfight. I think Ermes may get an early one. But once Jerry gets one of those stops, starts burning his brachialis out a little bit, might see a couple elbow fouls from Ermes. I mean, Jerry's going to call him. So.
Yeah.
elbow. He says elbow more than anybody, but.
I think if Jerry focuses more on just the pulling and not worry about trying to be puller/referee, because then there's that slight, where hey, watch his elbow, dude, just leave no doubt.
I agree to an extent, but not. I mean, it's tough because Jerry is right at the front of the pad most of the time. His elbows like teetering, and they're watching him so hard that they miss a lot of those elbows off the back. They do. When I was cornering them, they were missing a lot of Yorgi's elbows because they were so focused on Jerry because he is always teetering the edge of that front of that pad.
Yeah.
So and I don't blame him for feeling the need to have to point it out. Right. And when you're in those dog fights like that, it's great for him to get an elbow foul because then he just gets to restart and do it to him again, and burn him out more. And so restarts are great for Jerry. Jerry don't give a shit about a restart. So
maybe he should chalk his elbow because I know, and we've all probably been in matches where you're up there on stage, you got the bright lights going down, you're sweating, and all of a sudden it's all over your pad, you're sliding everywhere. And it's like, man, chalk that elbow up and just plant that bitch, and that way no one can move you. No one can move you,
I've never had that issue. I don't get me wrong, I sweat a lot up there, but I've never got real slippery on the pad, but I know Jerry's does, so
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, to mention, this is like the heavyweight or the super heavyweight champ versus the interim super heavyweight champ. So there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, and this kind of shakes things up because Levon's going to be out for a while, so we were expecting him to be the next guy for the title shot. So whoever wins this match is probably going to have the title for a little while. Well, depending on who they pull after, but that we're going to see the title either stay in the same hands or change hands for someone other than Levon for at least probably 6 months to a year. I don't know how long that surgery takes to recover from that. He's going to have.
Well, what do you guys think about the replacement for against Morozov and Gennady? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, he's got a month. I mean, there's going to be a month in between his match with Morozov, and then he's got to pull Devin again.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, Gennady is. See, this is what I don't like about it is. Let's say he has a dogfight war with Morozov, right? And then he comes back and he loses to Devin. They're going to say, "Oh, it's because he didn't have enough time to recover." And
it'd be a rubber match anyway,
right? Yeah, they'll have to have round 3, but man, Morozov was huge. I got a picture with him when I was there, and we talked for a minute. Mm-hmm. That guy is so big, so fucking big. Not an ounce of fat on him, and he looks. I mean, he looks like Ivan Drago and Gronkowski had a child.
Man,
like, he's just tall and big, and I mean, the dude is fucking crazy looking.
And that's the thing. When you have important matches, sometimes you got to go, okay, dude, we know you're a warrior, but you got to be smart. So if you got Devin down the road, right, in the river, down the road, okay, I got Devin coming up, is it smart to go, hey, I'll go ahead and pull Morozov? I'm like, dude, come on, man, because
you got to think the dude loves arm wrestling for one. He's right. The Georgian teams at every event. 2, in Georgia, the amount of money these guys are making at these East First West events are life-changing. It's not life-changing money, but it's money that they can live off like for the year. You think Gennady comes over there and arm wrestles and has 4 or 5 matches in a year and makes, I don't know how much he's getting, but it's obviously more than me. And the amount he makes in 4 or 5 events, man, that's comfortable money over there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Georgia's a factory. Levon, Pacho, Irakli, Gennady. I mean, the list goes on, and so it's like, man, what do you do? How do you stop that guys? And then, of course, you got, Unger Baev and his squad kind of like, all right, we're kind of holding it down, but they got their guys too,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Jerry wins, honestly. I think Jerry wins in a 3-2 dogfight.
I would tend to agree with that.
Because right now Jerry's undefeated, is he not?
Yeah, he's tough as nails, man. I mean, it's hard to get 3 pins on him.
Yes,
it's just you can beat it. You can get a pin on him, and then you can get 2 pins on him. In a best of 3, he's probably not the favorite. The best of 5, I think he's the favorite because it's different than the King's move. Okay, like when guys, say that Michael Todd or Devin when he was doing it, or these guys need to just get 1 stop. It's different. You're stopped in a different spot. Jerry is putting so much pressure on your brachialis and your shoulder that he takes your side pressure, just completely wears it down, and you have to get 3 pins on him is extremely fucking tough. He's going to find a spot where he's comfortable behind that shoulder. And I don't know how he does it. I honestly don't know I don't know how his shoulders and his body has held up for so long.
And if I'm not mistaken, somebody, joggle my memory. When he pulled Gennady, was it match 3? He came out with the shoulder roll, no flopping whatsoever. He came out straight, boom. And I'm like, wow, all right, I like that.
Well, people underestimate that about Jerry. Jerry's got a really good hook.
Yes.
Honestly. He does, but is it top 3 in the world hook? No. So he can beat most super heavyweights in his hook. I mean, he can. I mean, he just has a move that he would prefer to go to first.
Well, I think he might have said this, that when it comes to, I don't want to use the word random, but just, other guys, yeah, he'll go hook, whatever. When it comes to the elite guys, he needs to go to his elite move, and I get that, because when you go against the best of the best, you want your ace move to be firing all cylinders, and you got to be 110%, because that's where your confidence level is.
Ryan knows how that is. I mean, Ryan can beat all the, against most of the super heavyweights in a tournament. He can just kind of hold them and go sideways with them and control the match. But against the dude that you got to be on top of your game, you're going to go to your ace.
Always. High score.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think, So, I know this is like a East versus West topic, but what do you guys think about Morozov and Corey West? Another match that I've been waiting for a long, long time, and now it's finally going to happen. What's everyone's thought about that?
He's the most experienced, especially left-handed with the super heavyweight. So
I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous about that one. I wish I could get that one back. I probably would have canceled that trip in hindsight, but let's not go there for now. I think Corey West has a chance, but he's also prone, is it just me, or does it seem like the West guys are a lot more prone to injury in their preparations, in their matches?
Are we talking Cody Merritt? Are we
talking
Corey?
I don't think there's I think they're both going in healthy. Corey says he feels good. Oh man, it's a tough. If I had $1,000 to bet, I'd probably keep it in my pocket. My heart says Corey, but my brain says Morozov.
I think if it goes inside, we're going to see a really fun match to watch. But I think Morozov's a little bit more versatile, and I think Corey learned a lot in his match with Farid, a lot on certain things, how to get slipping against a top roller or getting into, because he needed the straps in that match, and he was the stronger guy, and he needed the straps, and because Farid is fast and has a really good hand and a really good top roll. So, but once it got there, it was clear he was the stronger guy. Now Farid is not Morozov. Morozov's the number one guy in the world, and for a reason. And he's massive and strong right now in his preparation for Levon. He was preparing for Levon. Corey's gonna get the best Morozov that we've seen, the strongest one. He was prepping for Levon. I mean, that's the last. That's the crazy part is he jumped on the train track when he was full speed ahead for Levon, because he knew about the Levon match before the Corey match.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing with Corey. He has a habit, and I hope he breaks this, to where if he gets down one match, he gets so down on himself. And I think that affects him psychologically, where it's like, dude, calm down. You're good. If it's one match, who cares? Shake it off. Like it's almost like football, and I'm playing DB and I get burnt for a touchdown. I better have short-term memory, or else that guy's going to be in my head the entire game. And now I might get beat for 2 more touchdowns. And I think, Corey has the tools to get it done. He just needs not to get in his own head. And that's just what I've seen before, where, you can just tell his body language. It's his shoulders just drop down, he's just kind of shaking his head. It's like, no. Forget it. Shake it off. Get back to that table, get fired up. And I think if Corey gets over that, and a confident Corey, I think he might get the job done. That's just what I think.
The problem is that he's going to have to find a path that works, and he's going to have to try to use it over and over again. I don't think it's going to be there multiple times. He's going to have different looks It's going to rely on stamina. He's going to have to hit him a certain way, get in a certain lane, if he can find one, and then do it over and over again. That's the problem with the super match. If it works once, it might not work a second time.
No, because everyone's going to make adjustments.
Yeah, but he'll go back to it. And the problem with, if you have, like, I've seen it a million times. If an arm wrestler has success one time, they go back to the exact same thing. And the only guy that made an adjustment is the guy defending.
It's 6 rounds too, guys.
Yeah.
So, and that takes a lot. I hope he's been working on his endurance and stuff, but don't get me wrong. I don't know how much more endurance you can have than that Farid match. That shit went on forever. But Morozov is young, in great shape. Hand is strong as shit. The rules at King of the Table are running fouls, right?
I believe so.
I believe they're running fouls as well. That's another factor.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I expected Corey to annihilate Farid. I did. I did not think that was going to be a close match, and it was. It was extremely close. I didn't expect what we saw there, because Farid had lots of unanswered questions, like he was coming back after years. I've seen him at some events, like the Moldova events, where he didn't look that good. And all of a sudden I heard he was coming back and he was getting put in an East versus West match. And
I think he pulled the AMC or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. He did pull that. But it was relatively recently. And I thought Corey was going to go right through him. And I was kind of shocked when he didn't. And maybe that's the only reason I'm doubting Corey right now a little bit. Not that I say he can't win. It's just, I would have felt a whole lot more comfortable if he would have just walked through him on his way to this match.
Now, I don't know if this is a question.
That's a fantastic match.
Is that legit? I don't know if it is or not. I haven't seen Ingen post that, if it's going to be there or not.
The problem with the super match format, though, and this is either East versus West or King of the Table, is Wagner is going to blow up by match 2.
Yep.
He always does.
Okay, so
that's a good match, though. That's a really good match. I like that match.
So Ingen, apparently he did confirm the match. So there you go.
Yeah, a good one. Good job, Ingen. Ingen picked a good one on that one.
If I'm Wagner, dude, drop about 20 pounds. Honestly, because what that guy has in power, if he had a little bit more stamina, he can make life hell for some of these guys. I mean, he does already, but imagine if he was a little bit lighter, he can make that much more.
I'm not sure the weight will matter much for him, because he's got so much muscle, and I think that's where that comes from, the fatigue on that. Like, he's got so much muscle. That dude, the lactic acid buildup and stuff, and the pumps you get when you have that much muscle, I don't think if you ain't seen him in person and walk by him and slap him on the back, it's like slapping a silverback. Like, the dude is so dense. And that is hard to train through. That is hard. It's hard to train endurance through muscle like that much. I mean, he gets crazy pumps.
Right.
I really thought, there's something going on with him where I think he needs to monitor his blood pressure a little bit, because I've watched him and I thought, like, they better have some medics on standby with this guy.
At the East versus West, he pulled that the last one.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna have a heart attack up there.
Even in the WAL event where he pulled Devin, like that, It started back then. And yeah.
Do you think all that the pre-match, all that kind of stuff plays a factor in that, because it gets you going?
Oh, yeah. 100%. That's definitely part of it. I mean, there's other parts, guys, but that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, there's other parts. We know what they are.
You're gonna pass out doing that kind of stuff, man. Don't be passing out, dude. Like,
it's like when the Ultimate Warrior used to run to the ring and then couldn't wrestle.
Yeah. I mean, he running and he starts shaking ropes and all that kind of stuff. That's about it, But
he was the best. He was my favorite.
But what do you do with stuff like that? But like I said, hopefully that match will be a good match. But
the first 2 rounds are going to be great.
Yeah.
They always are with Wagner. And then Farid, too, he's pretty exciting. He's pretty explosive, so
he's going to need 2 people in his corner to give him a rub down, because to get all that lactic acid out of his arm, he's going to need 2 people doing that at the same time. One's going to have to work the arm, the other one's going to have to work the hand. Just to make sure that he's at his best come the next round.
I'm not sure how much I know I do it every time, and there's somebody in the corner rubbing my arm. I'm not sure how much it actually has ever helped me, honestly. I don't know. I feel like just doing this does the same thing to me. I don't know. There is got to be something to it, but I just don't know. I've had people do it, and I've had them not do it, and I've never really noticed the difference.
Hey, Jody, you got people calling for your soapbox. Oh, there you got it on the screen.
What drama?
Okay, so Doug, usually I have a soapbox episode on this show, and okay, I was trying to dodge it, but all right, Jacqueline, here you go. So, Tom Stubblebine, are you aware of this guy, Doug?
Who?
Tom Stubblebine.
Never heard of her.
He's got a.
So he's let's see here. He started his career in Bakersfield, then he went to Las Vegas, and now he just recently moved to Texas, right?
Right.
Has his own podcast or his own show, YouTube channel. He's on the show with Paul Italia when they do their arm wrestling buzz every Wednesday night.
Oh, well, I probably recognize the face then from that. Yeah.
So basically, it was more of these. It was a call out between him and Freddie Sanchez at first. He's at El Paso, Texas. Long story short, Tom called him out, double guns and everything. Freddie's like, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and make this match. Tom gets on the arm wrestling buzz, denies everything, right? So Freddie was like, well, dude, this guy named Eric Brown who said, I will put up the money, which means, Tom, you don't have to pay. Freddie, you don't have to pay. $500 of my money. Here you go. Have the match. Tom was like, well, what about $750? Then that morphed into $1,500. Then all of a sudden that morphed into videos where all of a sudden my name gets attached to that. And, next thing you know, I'm getting bad mouth and this, that, and the other. And he starts going off about, I'm a old washed up Chihuahua, gatekeeper and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, okay, fine, whatever. Just to ask a question, Doug, what do you think about guys calling people out for super matches? Is it how do you think you should go about that?
Oh man.
Oh man, there's I've been on both sides of it, so and multiple ways. I think if there's no beef, the best way to do it is inbox each other and keep it private like men. And if one guy don't want to do it, he don't want to do it.
Right.
I think if there's some beef and you want to make it, and you want to try and create some buzz, and you think he's on the edge of saying yes, but if you call him out publicly, he'd say yes. I don't know. It's weird because if you're not putting I'll tell you something that annoys me when someone calls someone out for a super match and then like says what promoter wants to put this on and asks somebody to put up the fucking money. If you want to call someone out, put up some fucking money. There's so many people that also want super matches and then don't want to put up money or don't want to make it worth it. Don't want to make the money worth it. Don't want to, like, I'm not flying to fucking Pennsylvania arm wrestling somebody for $500. I'll spend that on my fucking plane ticket. I'm gonna lose money coming out there to arm wrestle you for you to try and make a name off beating me or whatever the situation may be, whatever reason. Like, I feel like I don't know. There's definitely disrespectful ways to do it, but if you don't respect the guy you're calling out, then I guess there's no.
Is arm wrestling not big enough that we the promoters shouldn't be making most of these themselves? Because saying, hey, what promoter wants to put this on? Well, that's who's going to stand up and say, oh, I'll do it. Like, it's you're that big of a name, because you never really hear, you hear like Devin Laird, for example. He'll talk trash to somebody, until a promoter picks it up and puts it on. He's not going to set a match and say, hey, what promoter wants to do this? You don't hear those from those guys. When was the last time you heard Dave Chafee call somebody out?
Exactly.
I'll tell you this. There's too many fucking, I don't even call them super matches. There's too many challenge matches. There's way too many. You want to have them in your backyard, have them in your backyard, bet the guy some money, get a ref. But these tournaments and like these, unless it's like a Monster Factory, East versus West, whatever, Arm Wars, something like that, and it's a full super match card. Like these, there's way too many guys that, and don't get me wrong, I've been out of the sport for a little while and I don't know everybody, but there's way too many people. I think super matches are at shouldn't happen until you're at a certain level.
Right.
Because they're for entertainment. That means there's people that want to see that match.
Yeah. I know guys do it for fun. Like there's clubs in Manitoba that do it for rankings within the club kind of thing.
For sure.
But I mean, you're right. People should be cutting their teeth through the ranks of tournaments until people want to see them arm wrestle. Like I've heard we had these same talks back when the WAL was doing their thing. And everyone wanted a super match in the World Arm Wrestling League, and they were calling people out and then throwing it out there to the world to see if they would pick it up. And there was no real path to get there. Well, there was a path. People just didn't want to do it because it was hard. You had to go win tournaments and make a name for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, though,
everybody wants the shortcut now because the thing is they see all these East versus West and all these big super match cards, and they want to be a part of it. And I get it. But they want to skip all the fucking grind that it took to even somebody want to offer you to come pull. You know how many years I arm wrestled before somebody said, hey, we want to put you with this guy and we're going to fly you out. Now everybody wants to do it. Like, I get it. Doing it within your club, doing it within your state, maybe having a couple matches at a tournament, or something. But like Joe Schmo and Jimmy Smith pulling in a super match, you're just taking up time at that tournament, and right. They want, and what I've noticed is a lot of the guys are wanting to skip the line by like, they're newer and they want to pull someone really good, really elite to make a name for themselves. But they also have that fallback as, if it's a win-win for them. It's a win, no lose. If they lose to a guy they're expected to lose, if they win, they just skip the line.
Says that Jay's saying that Tom's man had $1,500 to show up somewhere.
Yeah,
I never even heard of this guy until yesterday.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
It kind of looks like it's pretty popular, but I mean, I think about what I could do with $1,500 as a promoter. Man, I could get some pretty good arm wrestlers to come and arm wrestle here for
$1,500
prize.
I'll say it right now. If you want to pay me $1,500, I'll come to any one of your events. Okay?
There you go.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like,
I'm not up there, but like, I want to see me more than those guys.
Because he mentioned that, he has to make money too. Well, if the promoter at the time said, hey, I'll put up $500, which means you ain't got to pay nothing, that's a bonus. But it got talked to $1,500. They're like, no, because now you're playing with somebody else's house money, right? Don't do that. That's disrespectful.
You take the $500 and then bet $1,000 on the side with the guy. Whatever. If there's somebody wants to put up $500, cool. Hey, look, if they want to do that with their money and that's what they want to do, then cool. Let them give them $500 to do it. But if you want to make money on that trip, there's risk to it too. You need to put up your own money. If not, you ain't ready for a super match then. If you're worried about losing the money, you shouldn't be in that super match.
Guys used to be a lot more creative back in the day. Like when I started arm wrestling, it was the 90s. We didn't make money at any tournament we went to. If we were lucky, we came home only losing a couple $100 because it cost that much to get there and you won a little bit of prize money.
Yeah, you get a $15 Karen Bean trophy.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
Now, and then she pockets all the money and runs.
Yeah, or you could be real smart, like Bill Brzezinski back in the day started a corporation and it lost money every year, and it was him traveling around arm wrestling.
Yeah. Now, to his defense, he has apologized, so we kind of squashed it. But the thing is, though, is that now at least my name is done with it. However, I got a tag on Facebook from Paul Italia. So the Arm Wrestling Buzz this Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern time, you know, they're going to have Freddie, they're going to have Tom Stubblebine and Greg Brown all in, and I guess the title is to settle the score or squash the beef or whatever. So I'm just like, dude, I'll be at work.
Yeah.
I'm doing my thing.
Back in the day, super matches were for like when you'd see the best. This guy just won the 220 class, swept it. This guy won the 200-pound class and swept it. And they met at a catchweight or something for a super match,
Right?
Because it was like the best guys from both classes, or two guys from opposite sides of the country that never met up in a tournament. And that's how the super matches were made. The elite guys, everybody wanted, curious to see how that would work out. And now it's every time I get on Facebook, I mean, I got 4,000 friends on Facebook from, you know, arm wrestling stuff. And I scroll through it, and then I'm seeing like, I call them challenge matches, but they're super match after super match after super match with guys I've never even fucking heard of.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's watching this besides their arm wrestling club and their family? I don't know.
Hey, Jody, I got to say something about this guy apologizing to you.
Yeah.
If he was sorry, wouldn't he have pulled those videos where he's talking all that shit? Because he said some nasty stuff and he just left it up there.
Well, I agree with that, but I think I'm missing the part where you said, why did he come at you if it was between two other people?
Because he mentioned everybody on the Arm Wrestling Buzz last week. He says, I beat this guy, that guy. I beat Jody Williams, and it was all left-handed, which is fine because I'm a dominant lefty. But the super match itself was supposed to be right-handed, and he failed to mention at that same tournament he beat me left. I actually beat him right. Never say anything about it. So that's when I said, hey, man, I beat you right-handed, so why are you not mentioning that? If you're going to attach my name to this, get the facts straight. That's all I'm saying. And that's what he wanted to tirade.
He could dish it out. He couldn't take it.
Exactly.
So I've been there. I've been on both sides of that. I've had some shit going on in my life, man, and somebody said something so basic and simple, and I'm like, fuck you, I hope you die. No, not that far. But like I go off and I say some shit and I'm like, I look back at it, I'm like, why did I do that? And then, but you know, I usually message those people and I talk it out with them and I delete those comments. I've put a lot of comments on Facebook that I've gone back and deleted. Because I was like, that was kind of fucked up.
Yeah. It's just in to put a bow tie on this whole subject that I think, and you know, everybody in the chat, feel free to respond. You too, feel free to respond. When you have, and we'll just say trolls, right? I think trolls are starting to really screw the sport up. I mean, if we as athletes, and Doug, you've been in this sport 10 plus years, Ryan 10 plus years, I've been in this sport 10 plus years. We've paid our dues. And I feel like, you know, when you get these guys who are 4 years and under coming in here wet behind the ears, you know, talking trash, they think that's the way to do it. It's not. And I think when you start trash talking so much, you get all these different trolls and stuff. We as a community can't move on as, you know, athletes in the sport because we're still going to be labeled the barroom sport, which we're trying to get away from. But you got those kind of guys who do that and think, hey, they ruin it. So when you just focus so much on the trash talking, then it's not about arm wrestling no more.
Well, I think that's what gets the attention, right? And like, so, you know, I'll give you an example. Like when I'm trying to build up these matches, the East versus West, I talked a lot of shit to Ray and Daniel, and that was encouraged. It was, it was wanting to sell stuff. So you sell the pay-per-view, right? Sell the match, get people interested. And then I go get my ass whooped. And next thing you know, there's people in the YouTube video dragging me. And I'm like, you know, I don't care. But, you know, none of them guys will ever get to that level to get invited to that stage. And they have no fucking clue what it's like to step on that stage. But and not even just the East versus West stage, stepped on a stage that big. You know, there's been other places in Moldova and all these other places in Poland, the Zloty, all kinds of shit. Those type of stages, top 8. But even WAO, some of the stuff I got shit. I mean, 2 of the biggest things I've ever been on, I had my ass whooped in, and I was on national television losing. So, you know, the trolls are going to come with the social media boom. People are going to talk shit. I used this analogy before. LeBron James is the all-time leading scorer in NBA, and you get in an NBA forum, and he's a bum. He sucks.
Right.
It's just, and he's the all-time leading scorer of all time and the most durable guy of all time. So they're going to, as the sport grows, there's going to be way more of that shit.
So here you go, Doug. Jay Clean says there was a clear difference between Doug shit talking and Tom's. Doug was very clearly for entertainment. And that's the thing. When you get to those press conferences, hey, this is like entertainment. Hey, my ability is I'm curious. Where Tom is almost like, dude, are you fucking threatening me? Because it's almost like I want to punch you right in the mouth. Like, what are you doing? But
personal,
yeah, there's a fine line. That's all. I don't mind smack talking, but if it's kept within a respectful way, cool. But when it starts to get out of line, then it's like going, dude, and here's the thing, Doug and Ryan, I was never on his radar. Like, I had no interest in doing this because I was focusing on my event coming up on June 24th, and all of a sudden my name attaches to this, and then all of a sudden it just kind of exploded. Now, keep in mind, Freddie Sanchez, him and I talked behind the scenes about a match, and hopefully down the road we can make that happen at the end of the year. But Tom got upset because he wasn't involved in that, and I'm just like, dude, it's not. When you approach me that way, disrespectfully, I want nothing to do with you.
The only time I call somebody out publicly is when I feel like they disrespected me. Otherwise, I'll message them in private message. And Jay, ain't everybody like you, buddy. I appreciate that, but I'm telling you, ain't everybody like that. They looked at the shit I was saying as I was this horrible person saying these mean, horrible things to this polite young man from Moldova. In reality, me and Daniel chopped it up. We chopped it up for a long time while we were there. And he took Noah. He knew me and him were messaging prior to and after. It's all good fun, and I mean, shit, I was laughing 90% of the time I was saying half the stuff I was saying. But what that guy obviously said to you, it's that encroachment on, all right, now I got to check you because you ain't going to talk to me like that. Like,
hey, we're all grown men. What the hell is wrong with you, dude? Like, it's a respect that I didn't feel like, I'm like, not that I deserve from him, but it's like going, why are you coming to me that route? Where,
now, mind you, I do not know him. I do not know if he was, and I don't know what's going on in his life. And as I've gotten older, I don't take every situation. I try not to. I lost my patience with somebody recently in the arm wrestling world, and I had it out with them, and I went overboard in private message. But you don't know what's going on in people's lives,
right?
Either that make them take that out on you or lash out on you, because I had some shit going on in the moment at that time that I was just like, all right, this dude's about to be my punching bag. Subconsciously, I wasn't doing it intentionally,
right? And
so that does happen. That does happen, man.
And I'll go a step further, and this is probably, it connects to this, but it kind of doesn't. So he inboxed me, gave me a couple dates. How about, July 8th or July 29th or whatnot? Those don't work for me because, I'm coming off the heels of putting on my son's, my foundation. I don't know if you know about my situation, but LOD, our basketball camp. We got our LOD Arm wrestling tournament June 24th. I'm just like, and then we got vacation after that. So I'm busy. When he said that was kind of, what I said was horse shit. I'm like, okay, that struck a nerve. And then just recently, everything got put, in light because now that, we donated our son's organs, a lady reached out to us. So our son, donated his liver and all the other organs he had. Well, his liver went to a 9-month-old boy. And now he's 3 years old. And so we finally got an email from his mom saying he's doing good. That's where my focus is. My focus is not on Tom. So when he says that kind of shit and I got this going on, it really struck a nerve. And it's like, you know what? If I saw that guy, I would punch him right in his fucking mouth. But you know what? I got to calm myself down. I got to go, okay, what's more important right now? The fact that this lady from Washington got a hold of us and says, hey, I want to thank you so much. I want to get to know you guys because if it wasn't for your son, my son wouldn't be living. Or do I focus more on this guy over here doing what he does, pissing everybody off? So I had to really kind of, grasp myself and kind of go, okay, You know, this is more important. Let me just, shake myself and just kind of go, okay, it's not about that no more. It's about what's going on here, what matters most. That's all I'm trying to say.
And like, again, if he's listening, I don't know you, dude, but he may be a douchebag, but also I could give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe if he had known that, he may not have been, he may not have done that. So, and I know we kind of gone off on more of a psychology and mental health conversation now, but
sorry about that, y'all.
No, look, it's part of the sport, and it's going to be around for a long time because I don't see arm wrestling going nowhere. And if it's going to keep growing like it's growing, it's going to grow off social media. And
yes, it is.
And because this is the most consistent boom we've seen since WAL, and it's hard to keep those type of leagues afloat. So
I will say this, like I've always told Ryan, and so we can wrap this thing up because I know you guys got stuff to do. All these organizations cater to somebody, whether it be Arm Wars, Arm Gods, Monster Factory, East First West, King of the Table, of course, all the other organizations that we know that's been around for years and years and years. They all cater to a certain puller or a certain person, So I think, by opening the door for all this kind of does, that's why you see the big boom. At least my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's why you see the big boom.
Of course.
Yeah, that's something I've been talking to a few people who've reached out about something for me soon. So I haven't committed to nothing, but I might have something else coming up that, and I couldn't say which or what, but I might be on a reality show soon. So that's going to interrupt a lot of stuff.
Right. You're gonna be the second arm wrestler on Naked and Afraid.
Oh, yeah, I did call and ask him for advice when they were doing my recorded interview so they could chop it up and send it to the executive producers. But I did actually call him and ask him for advice. I took some of it, but yeah, I would go on that show for sure. But yeah, no, Dallas is that dude's a trip, man.
Well, I hope that works out for you, my man. And other than that, keep training hard. I see the kids are quiet, so everything must be good over there. So
either that or it's really bad.
Yeah, you're gonna have some repairs to do.
I would rather hear them. And you know that.
Right.
When they're quiet, you're like, oh shit, I already know I'm gonna have to go downstairs.
They got into something. So
they're cooking you something for lunch.
Oh, I guarantee they got the steaks that I'm marinating, they're cooking them right now and they're gonna screw them all up.
Yeah. Well, Doug, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on the show. It was a treat. Thanks for your East First West expertise too, because it's not often. I mean, Ryan and I could talk about that days and days, but since you've been there and witnessed everything firsthand, it's always good to get somebody's expertise on the topic. So thank you very much for that.
Oh yeah, man. Honestly, man, I've been a part of just about everything, and it's the best thing I've ever been a part of. Like it's unreal. The energy, the amount of talent around you. Every time you turn around, there's another world champion.
Yeah.
It's being a fan of the sport on top of being an arm wrestler. Like I'm almost fanboying taking pictures with people, that I'm there competing with. Sometimes I forget I'm up on there on that stage with them, like it's like I'm a fan of a lot of these guys. They're good dudes. And it's one of the best parts about it is the friends that I've made in these other countries that I wish lived a lot closer, because I know we'd be really good friends. Like that whole Georgian team. Yeah. We message on Instagram and Facebook a lot, and I'm going to go make a trip out there for like 10 days for, and just we'll arm wrestle, but they're going to bring me all over the country. So what that event is doing is bringing everybody together, and on top of the entertainment that everybody's seeing, it's literally bringing a lot of these people from these different countries that never would have met, didn't know they had so much in common, and bringing them together and creating friendships that, shit are going to last lifetimes,
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug.
Oh, it was great to be on here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. There it is. There. I can't.
I'm recovering from food poisoning last weekend, so I'm feeling a little flat, but
There it is.
Still, their left forearm couldn't even fit in the screen.
Oh, damn. You know? Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Ryan, my friend, we're going to be here next Monday. As always, on your channel, we're going to sit there and talk about the fallout from the East vs. West finals in Virginia. Doug, my man, keep doing what you do, and we'll keep in touch. Ryan, I will see you next Monday. Everybody, enjoy your day. We'll talk soon.
So long, everybody.
Take care.